Hi, my name is Steve Carpenter. I'm the founder and CEO of Cake Financial.
Hi, I'm Sven Junkergård, Engineering Director here at Cake.
And everybody knows, other than the Dutch people, I think the Swedes are probably the second most funny.
Yeah, but there's a reason why the Swedish chef made it into the Muppet Show. Out of all the chefs out there, he was the guy who made it.
So Sven,
Hey Steve.
this is the first in the Cake Financial Weekly Market Wrap-Up Show. Our theme for this is we read the stories that matter to individual investors so you don't have to. The worst 3-day period in the market in the last 6 years.
It's been pretty bad.
My portfolio today as we speak is down 1.5%, and my month to date, I'm down almost 8%.
And I'm down only 0.2% today, but a total of 5.5% for this year so far.
So clearly you're a better investor than I am in these bad recession-type markets.
I might have a bit more diversification, a bit easier on the downside of that, but I have to be able to go high when the things are going up as well. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been doing bad, but not as bad as others.
A big story that I think affects individual investors is the New York Stock Exchange buys Amex.
Yeah, that's pretty big. I mean, that battle goes back for, is it like hundreds of years now?
But do you know how much they bought them for?
I don't know the actual number, but it was
$260 million.
Yeah, there's been a lot of consolidation between exchanges here the last couple of years. I know that in Sweden we have the Stockholm Stock Exchange, OMX, that actually manages stock exchanges all over the Nordic area. It's being bought by a combination of Nasdaq and Börse Dubai this year. So clearly there's a big trend in consolidating exchanges.
And I would say that sort of on the relative scale of American exchanges versus the Swedish exchanges, that if the American exchange goes for $260 million, my bet is that we could buy the Swedish Stock Exchange for like $50. Merrill Lynch, nearly a $17 billion loss. Citigroup, $10 billion. Morgan Stanley, $10 billion. Wells Fargo, $500 million. Your wife works there, sorry for that. And then JP Morgan with a $1.3 billion write-down. Certainly for the financial sector, this is an incredible week. But a really interesting story came out that I know you're going to find shocking, I know I do, that the SEC is investigating Merrill Lynch for trading ahead of their clients.
And that kind of comes back, if you're looking back a couple of years when they had late trading happening as well. It's another thing that just shouldn't happen, something that these companies that we trust are not supposed to do, yet it happens.
Chinese and US demand is sort of forever changing commodity prices. The price of copper has tripled in 5 years, zinc has doubled, wheat and soybeans rose 70% in 2007 alone, and futures prices for things like oil and gold and silver and all the metals and corn are all at near records. This seems like a natural for where individuals should likely be looking. What's your take on things like this?
Commodities is difficult. Commodities is a different market. It's a bit harder to follow than equities and mutual funds. But clearly, as demand has gone up because of the expansion in both Asia and Russia, for example, or Brazil. But also what's happening for the soybean, for example. That's actually largely here in the U.S. where more people are going in to produce alternatives to produce alternative fuels, so more corn, for example, producing less soybeans, and that has repercussions. Indonesia, their soybeans there, which is one of the big things that they use for food, has just gone up tremendously, largely because they import a lot from the US, and we're now trying to make fuel instead.
How many Swedes eat tofu?
Very little.
What happens in the Swedish mind that makes it so weird and different and profitable?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's weird, and of course, profitable, that's not any good idea, but I think Swedes are very practical people.
So, would you be willing on our first show, and we can track this over time, to predict the next thing that you think, just based on what's happening in Sweden, that just makes sense from the Swedish mind, that would be a huge international hit? What would be Sweden's next big impact on the global market?
Well, personally, just looking at what I used to like is the Swedish candy. We have the little cars, Swedish bilar, Ahlgrens bilar. Maybe those will get really big. I think you can buy them here at IKEA perhaps, and they started already coming in a little bit. If that keeps them rolling the way, I've always been bringing them somewhere. People always love them, so maybe that would be big.
So that's our show for the first week of January 14th. We're going to be here every Friday giving you our unique take, Steve and Sven's take on the market. And remember, we hope that this show is a condensation of all the things that you should know about what's happening in the markets, but you're too busy. So we'll read it for you. We'll condense it. We'll
give our unique perspective on
unique
what
perspective, and then hopefully find it entertaining and informative.